Hello everyone, welcome to join today's QNAP broadcast. Today we'd like to bring you our new launch with the QuWAN 2.1 version. This is a new versions on the QuWAN. We believe a lot of customer and users waiting for this version because we have a lot of new features on it. It's very useful. And for the major focus on the QuWAN 2.1, we are focused on that the SD-WAN with the QVPN is the VPN solution is more flexible. We will show you what the design concept it is, and to also give you the some GUI to let you know how to build up our new designs for the SD-WAN with the QVPN. And also we will introduce more new features on the QuWAN 2.1. So this is today's agendas. First, we will go through all the new features for this enhancements, and we will have three major features introductions, which is the QVPN server on QuWAN, and the second one is hub capable, and the third one is the duplicate IP detected. This is the three major enhancements for this release. Of course, the first one, the QVPN server on QuWAN, is the most important thing. So first, we will go through all the features on this QuWAN 2.1 release. And the first one, and is the most important, is the QVPN server on QuWAN. As you can see on the wordings, which means now we can set up the QVPN server on QuWAN. Okay, so you can manage it and assign a hub device to become one of your QVPN server. And of course, you can configuration the server on the cloud. You can also assign or create the user for QBelt on the WAN also. So which means after you generate the QVPN servers, then you can go to another page to create or also manage the account. And of course, we can send the account informations to the user's email because you cannot just create a user account and let the user do by themselves to assign to their mobile device. That not make sense. So you need to we need to assign the login criteria to the emails. And also, after user get the informations, they build up the tunnels. Then we can monitor on the cloud. You can monitor the tunnels in status and the user status on the QuWAN orchestrators. And the second one is the hub capables. This is the new enhancement for the QuWAN roles enhanced because in the previous we can only let the pub devices using the public IP address. But now if you behind the NAT, we can also let the device become the hub. So you can change the role on the QuWAN orchestrators. We will show you the GUI, what it looks like in the later slides. The third one, duplicate IP detect. This is more like the troubleshooting enhancements because a lot of the users, they were asking how do they know the IP is right or duplicate with other devices on the GUIs because they don't know where they can looking for that, or we just tell them that the IP address is already used, but with the which one, the user cannot notice that. So for this times, we have new GUI designs, new detect functions on the QuWAN, so the user can easily understand for the duplicate IP address. Next one is the can set up the segment for the source IP address in firewall rules. The segment on the QuWAN is a kind of like a group, the concept of a group. You can group a lot of the devices together. And before, you need to set up the firewall rules one by one because the devices are in different IP address. But now you can use the segment, which means you just need to assign a group for these several devices into a single firewall rules because maybe the meaning for this firewall rule is all the same, just the source IP address is different. So it not make sense to assign one by one. Then you can use like a concept of the group to become the source IP address. And the next one is the QoS default rules. All you know, we have the service class on the QuWAN orchestrators, and now we can let user to choose the service class for the default rules to assign to the organizations. And also we will show you which rules is the default one on the GUIs. We will show you the GUI snapshot in the later slides. Next one, the reporting time period enhancement. This will have two focus parts. The first one is because we have a default time period on the reporting functions, but usually the users, they will change to what they like, because they like to have past 6 hours or something, because maybe it's more suitable for the review. But we will change back to the original ones after do some changings. But now we will keep it. We will keep it the users defined time period. We will not change it. And another one is because now we have more and more users. They will have like 10, 20 devices on the QuWAN orchestrators. So which means the log will become more than before. So we extend our default time period to 1 week. So which means the user can search more logs on the default page. Next one is the service port management, and be noticed this is only for the QNE QTS VRouter platform, which is the VM version. Okay, the devices they have the VM versions, then can use the service port management. They can change it, they can edit, or also can monitor and manage it. Next one is the GUI enhancement. We have some visuals changing enhancement for the colors for the icons to let the GUI make more easy for reading. And also the connection health display. It can very easily, clearly to show you which connection have the issues or the connection is very well. You can read it very clear and easy. And last one is the log message enhancement. This also have two parts. The first part is because for this time QuWAN 2.1, we have the QVPN server on the cloud. So we need to also enhance the VPN server logs on the cloud, including the user account, because this time we can managing the user account. So we need to enhance the user's logs. That's the user more easy for read and also very easy to find it. So we have the log enhancement for the QVPN server and also the user account. So this 2 pages is talking about what we have, what's the new for this time, the QuWAN 2.1. Then we will go to the detail for each functions. The first one, the first key feature instruction is the QVPN server on the QuWAN. So first one is we like to tell you why we want to do this. Because from the beginning, from day one, the QuWAN is the most platform flexible SD-WAN solutions. Why we are saying that? Usually if you see others SD-WAN solutions, that is only can let the router to join the QuWAN. But for the QNAP SD-WAN solutions, we can let NAS to join the QuWAN. We can let our smart switch like a Guardian to join the QuWAN. And of course, the routers. Also, if you use the home Wi-Fi mesh systems, the QMiro series, you can also join the QuWAN. And if you want to use the virtual machines, we have a virtual machines versions can join the QuWAN. So we have a lot of the platform for the options for the users. And this is talk about is more like have a physical devices. But if the user they want to expand the QuWAN coverage, like they have sales, on the way to visit the customers, or some employee they work at home. They don't have the devices at home, but they still want to connect back to the QWAN. They can use the QVPN service to join to the QWAN, so they can build up the tunnel to the devices. Then the devices can help this QVPN make the connection back to the QWAN to access the office network. But if you want to use the QVPN, like we make examples right here, like if you use on the QTS systems and you want to build up the QVPN service, then first you need to set up the QVPN on the NAS. This for like this example. So you need to set up the QVPN service. Then you need to know what the IP address it is. And because this NAS now is joined to the QWAN, so you need to also set up the firewall, the NAT rules on the QWAN, and something else. And also on the QVPN apps, like on the mobile, it also need to like enter the service IP, service ports, and the pre-share key. Users still need to set up some configurations, no matter on the NAS or on the mobile devices. And this is for the single tunnel setup. What if we like to have a kind of backup configurations, like in the office we have multiple QTS systems can become the QVPN servers. And why we want to do that is maybe we have a different office, or we like to have some kind of backup. Okay, maybe some the major NAS disconnect, then we can access to the backup NAS. But this is from the office point of view. But what about on the mobile point of view? Which means if we want to have the backup connections, we need to set up multiple connections on the QVPN apps. Like these scenarios, we have 3 QTS device, and the QVPN, if it want to have a backup connections and it doesn't know which one it need to connect, the QVPN need to set up 3 rules for these 3 devices. Like it had to add the server A configurations, then server B, then server C. And when the QVPN like to build up the tunnels, it need to know which one is available or which one is faster than others, then connect to it. You need to do a lot of checkings. Maybe for the advanced users, they know how to check it. This is not the issues. But if you talk about some kind of the really don't have some knowledge for the networkings, you ask them, you need to check the connection health, or you need to check which servers is available for connections. Maybe it's a little bit hard for them to build up the tunnels. So this is why we want to make this kind of connection more easier to decreasing the deployment steps for the users. So we make the QWAN also have the QVPN server functions on it, because if we have the QWAN, we can let the users can join to the QWAN more easily. This is a concept like the now we have a QVPN server on the QWANs, which means we can enable the QVPN server on the devices, and also we create the account for the QVPN. Then we send the emails to the QVPN client. Then the user, they just need to copy and paste the information on the emails to their QVPN apps, like the organization's IDs, user account, user password, then can build up the tunnel. And also we will help the user to decide it, like now, for this example, right now the Guardian is much faster than others, then we will suggest the user to connect to the Guardians rather than others. Or user, they want to change it manually. They want to, because they say, I want to access to the NAS one, I don't want to access to the Guardians. Of course, we have this kind of configurations changing to let user to decide it. We will have the GUIs in the other slides to show you what kind of configurations user can do that. But the concept for this is like we can help users more easily to set up the QBelt tunnels, and also can have a different tunnel optional to them. Maybe they want to do the backup, or they have a different usage, need to access to different QVPN servers. We give the flexible for this kind of deployment. So the QuWAN support the QVPN server on it can make this kind of usage more easy and more flexible. So this is some advantage which some I already show you in the previous slides, but here we just give a short conclusion with what is the advantage for the QVPN server on the QuWAN. The first is totally centralized, no matter for the user account or QVPN servers, and it can monitor the connections also for the user client or the tunnels connections. And because this is totally from the cloud setup, so the user, they don't need to remember a lot of the IP address, because like the previous, if the user want to have the backup connections, they need to remember a lot of the IP address. But now we can help them just have organizations IDs can have a lot of the IP address on the QVPN apps. And also we will show you the server's health check on the QVPN client. You will see the health status on the devices to tell you which one now is more suitable for you for on connections. And of course, we still keep the manual options, because maybe, like I said, maybe some users, they just want to connect to dedicated servers. They don't want to let the QVPN app to decide it. We still keep this kind of the options to let users, they can decide they'll dial up the tunnels automatically or by the manually. And here we have a notice right here is for the QVPN server on QuWAN 2.1. Currently, we only support on the QNE QTS and the QuWAN VRouter versions, which means is the VM versions right now. Okay, so this need to be noticed. We only support on the VM versions right now. And we will go to give you some GUI snapshots to let you know for the functions on the QuWAN orchestrators. This is the front page for the VPN server settings. You can see we have 3 options right here. QuWAN QBelt VPN server setting and privilege settings and the online VPN users. This is the GUI page for the QVPN server. And also we have a download link on the right top of this page, because we know for the QuWAN VPN server, we need to have the QVPN client apps set up on the mobile device. So right here we have the links to let user can install to redirect to the page of the apps to install on their mobile devices. And this is a new functions and also very new concept for the QNAP devices. So this time we have a quick start on the GUI directory. You can read it. It will tell you how to set it up and what the concept it is. And after that, you will know how to set up on the QuWAN QVPN server on the QuWAN orchestrators. You can just see on the QuWAN QBelt VPN server on the middle top of the page, you will see have a direct link right here. And you can set up the QVPN server on the QuWAN directly if you have the because of course for each organizations you will have at least 1 hub. But if you have multiple hubs, you can see all the hubs in this page, and you just choose which hub you want to set up the VPN server, and also you can press the action on the each server and you can modify the IP address, like the how many users you want to that this server can handle it, and the DNS server. You can modify the setup configurations for each VPN server. And after you modify the VPN server, then you need to set up the VPN client, VPN user account. Then you just go to the privilege settings. You can add a user, and right here you can assign a username and the email address. The email address is very important, and also the server. Which server you'd like to let this user connect to it. You can choose all or single or one or two. This is optional. It just depends on the your request for these organizations. Then after you create this account, the QuWAN orchestrator will send an email to this user. And also you can change the password. So maybe the users, they forgot their password, or they like to renew the password, then you can send the password again. Or you want to delete these users, you can also manage it. And this is the notification emails sent from the QuWAN orchestrators. You can see it have the organization ID, user account, and the password. This information is for user copy and paste to the QVPN apps. Because we have also have enhancements on our QVPN app, we have additional QuWAN QBelt servers right here. Then in the middle snapshot, you can see have an organization ID, username, password. This is the column you copy paste the email information right here. After that, you can choose you want to let the app to decide which server you want to build up the tunnel. Then you can choose the auto, or you want to manually change it, you can set up the manually. We keep this flexible for user to choose it. And you just need to set up and press connections. Then you will see the VPN tunnel and the QBelt VPN tunnel is already built up. You can see on the left snapshot. This is on a snapshot on the mobile device. And on the cloud, then you can see which user now is connected to the build up the QBelt VPN tunnel to your QVPN servers. And if you want to disconnect the VPN server VPN users, then you just you can disconnect it from the QuWAN directly. And this is for the managing the users from the QuWAN. So this is the QuWAN VPN server supported. Now we can set up the QVPN server and QBelt client on the cloud directly. You can let the user more easily to build up the QBelt VPN tunnels. Then next one is the hub capables. Of course, first we like to show you why we need the hub capables. Because as you know, in the previous QuWAN, if you want to be a hub, then you need to have a public IP address. But still have a lot of users, maybe they only can put their devices at the office and behind the router. Or at home, they have some ISP routers and still can only use the private IP on the QuWAN devices. So which means in the past, they only can be the edge, but now they can be the hub. But still need to remember because we still have some service ports on the QuWAN. So you need to, we put a note right here, you need to put some port forwarding rules on the NAT routers to pass this service ports traffic to the QuWAN. Then the QuWAN can let the device behind the NAT can become the hub. But to here, you will asking that, okay, now I know we can have the device behind NAT become the hub, but how do I change it? Or how do I know this device can change to the hub or still can only become the edge? So on the QuWAN orchestrators, now in the device management, we give you two options. The first one is two functions. The first one is, of course, you can change from edge to hub directly. But before that, we offer you a check functions on the QuWAN orchestrators. You can see we have a button right here, and if you click the check, then it will pop out a message to tell you, please set up the port forwarding rules for this service port, because this service port is for communications to the QuWAN orchestrators. And after that, if you set up the rules on your NAT routers, then the QuWAN will start checking. And we have 4 status you can see on the right snapshot. We have a status list right here. It's display which status now, and your device can become the edge, become the hub, or still can only be the edge. We will show you the status after you do the check on the QuWAN orchestrators. So we give you 2 functions. The first, you can change from edge to hub, and the second, we offer you a check functions to help you to check did you set up the right rules on the NAT rules to let your device, even behind the NAT, still can become the hub on the orchestrators. And the next one is the duplicate IP detect. Usually the users, they will say that, okay, now I have a new device, I want to let it join to the QuWAN. But I know this IP address can be used, but why I cannot set it up? Because the devices still tell me that they have a duplicate IPs. Or, okay, now I know I have a duplicate IP, but with which one? I want to know which one is duplicate. So we have a enhancement on the web GUI is we will tell you which IP address you have a duplicate, and also if the devices, we will show you the device names to tell you, okay, now the IP address you set up on this devices is duplicate with the others. You can change this one, or you go back to change another ones. Give you more clear informations to let the user know which IP address or which devices they need to modify it. And here is the list which the QuWAN is going to check on the cloud directory, like the WAN DEM VDEM interface, VPN server, static route IP address, and also we will check the reserved IP pools, like the some IP address is assigned to local only. You cannot use the local IP address to go to the internet. So if you set up like this kind of IP address, we will tell you this is for local only. You cannot set up for the internet access. So above 3 functions is the major features released for this QuWAN 2.1. But of course, we have several features, because in the previous slide we already showed you we have a lot of the features. So now we will give you more snapshot to show you each by each. The first one is we can set up the segment for the source IP address in firewall rule. As you know, we have the firewall rules, and you can choose for any, or you can choose the dedicated IP address for the IPS, so for the firewall rules. But as you know, we can set up the segment on the QuWAN orchestrator. It's kind of the like a group concept. You can group several devices together. So we can set up the segment right now, which means you can set up the multiple similar, or we can say the same firewall rules by using the segment, which means like in this segment we have 4 devices. Now we only need to set up 1 firewall rules for these 4 devices, because in the past you maybe need to set up 4 rules, but now you can set up for 1, then can apply to 4 devices. Next is we can assign the service class for QoS default rules. This is the original page, but we have a new one. You can see we mark in yellows right here. You can choose which service class you want to set up for your QoS default rules. And also we have we will show you now which service class is for default on the GUI. So maybe because the user, maybe they will change the value for each service class, and maybe they want to change the default. So we will display the default service class rules on the GUIs very clearly to let the user know which one now is for the default rule. And for the time period on the reporting systems, we can let the user modify their time period, and after that we will not change it. We just keep the user's configurations. And also we modify the default time period to the past 7 days, because compared to the previous versions, now a lot of the users, they have multiple devices, so which means they will have a lot of logs on the QuWAN orchestrators. So we like to have a more extend our time period for the QuWAN orchestrator. Of course, there's a lot of cost for the QNAP, but for user experience, for user can search the logs more easily, we still extend our default report time period to 7 days. It can display more logs on the QuWAN orchestrators by default. And the next one is for the VM versions. Now you can modify the service port management, because we have our service port no matter for the VPN server or for the QuWAN connections. Now for the VM versions, you can manually modify it, or you want to add it, you can add it by yourself. And for the GUI enhancement, you can see for this snapshot, we display very detailed for the connections. Also, we put in different color of icons to let you know for like which one is the uplink, which one is the downlink throughput, connection speed, and also the connection status, what it looks like. We not only to tell you on the wording, by wording, we also give you the icon with the different color to let user more clearly to read it. And also we modify it for the device status, like the WAN status and the VPN status. We also put it on the device status. And the last one is the log message. As you know, we have the QVPN server this time on the QuWAN 2.1. So we are not only just put the QVPN server on the cloud, we also put the logs on it, because you cannot just let user can manage it, can add it, but you cannot give them, you didn't give them the logs. This is not make sense. So we also put a lot of the logs for the QVPN servers. And also for the QBelt user accounts, we put the logs like the account generate or the password reset, something like that. We give them the logs on the QVPN server, this time on the QuWAN orchestrators. Also, we have modified some wordings to let the user more easy to read our logs this time. So above is the introduction this time for our QuWAN 2.1 enhancement, and of course the most important is now for the VM versions, we can that user can create the QVPN servers on the cloud directly, including the QuWAN QBelt VPN client information sent from the email to the client mobile device. They just need to copy and paste the organization ID, username, password to the QVPN app, then just build up the QBelt VPN tunnel. It's very easy to let the user can expand the QuWAN coverage for no matter for the business usage or the work from home usage. So this is the very important enhancement this time for QuWAN 2.1 enhancement. Thank you.